Hey, welcome back. I'm Victoria Jones, the owner and founder of Fraser Valley Lash Academy. And today we're going to talk about the science behind cyanoacrylate part two. So if you missed part one, I will leave a link in the description so you can go back and recap on that. A couple of things that we already discussed in a previous video was the ingredients of cyanoacrylate, humidity, and temperature. So if you are already familiar with lash glue, you know that temperature and humidity are two of the big factors that we need to understand when it comes to curing the lash glue and knowing when and how to use it properly. Okay, and then there's a couple more things that we do need to discuss just to finish this off. Would be pH levels and lash porosity. Okay, so that doesn't directly talk about lash adhesive. So today we're actually going to be talking about the lashes themselves and creating an environment for the lashes so that the glue is going to be curing properly. So first things first, what is pH? pH stands for potential of hydrogen. So pH indicates the concentration of hydrogen ions in a solution, determining its alkalinity or acidity. Okay, so when we are talking about lash pH, it's often referred to in reference to um, the adhesive adhesion, and the liquids required to balance the pH. Okay, so we're talking about adhesive, we're talking about primers, super bonders, any other things that come along when you're applying them to the lashes. Okay, so one thing to understand is only liquids contain pH. Okay, our lashes themselves, and same with the skin, do not have a pH balance. Lashes and skin are actually made up of dead keratin cells. So when we're talking about pH on the lashes, this is what comes from the oils that are secreted from the nearby glands. Okay, we've got glands all over our bodies that produce oil, and of course, we have them on our eyelids as well. The level of pH will help accelerate the dry time of the glue. So sometimes this is a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, sometimes it's something that we want, and we do things to adjust the pH balance in our glue so it dries faster. And then other times, if the pH is already too high, and this will make the glue dry even more faster, especially if you're adding more products to the area, um, causing that shock polymerization, which is what we don't want when it comes to lashing a client. Because as we know, shock polymerization is what happens to the glue when it dries too quickly, and this will cause brittle bases, affecting the retention of the lashes. So when I talk about the lash retention and brittle bases, that's when the clients are at home, they're brushing their lashes, and the lashes are literally falling off without a natural lash attached to them. Okay. Ideally, for pH level, we want to be sitting around a neutral spot for the glue to cure correctly. Okay, so remember that. The watching these upcoming videos, neutral is what we are going for. Um, so many primers, accelerators, glue aids, these contain alcohol. Alcohol is acidic. Okay, adhesive contains acid buffers, which are called PMMAs. And this is what helps maintain its liquid state in the bottle. So acid buffers, it's going to be high acidic. Okay. So when a client is high in pH, um, the glue is not going to cure to its full potential. The bonds either won't dry or they're going to take longer, and adding bonders and glue aids is just not going to help. Okay, because if a client's already sitting closer to that acidic level and we're adding more products on top, it's just going to create a more acidic environment. The glue is not going to want to cure properly. Some factors to consider about our clients and how pH levels can affect their bodies would be hormones, stress levels, medications, and diet. So, when it comes to hormones, the amount of estrogen will cause a higher pH level. Okay, from pregnancy to menopause, fluctuations in estrogen levels can cause a higher than normal pH. So, when it comes to stress affects breathing patterns. So, think about it when you're really stressed out. We're usually really tense and heavy breathing. Um, this can cause irregular CO2 levels in the body, causing a decrease in the blood pressure. And this can cause your body to be in a more high alkaline environment, which can raise the pH levels in your body. For diet, this can be due to higher protein diets such as keto. So, with keto, your body goes into a state of ketoacidosis. Again, acid, which is high pH. Okay. So, how do you know when the client is in this high pH? It's not something that they're going to know to tell you. Um, Long story short, the lashes are just not going to stick. Okay, so if everything's going well with all of your other clients, and for whatever reason, this one client you're having an issue with, um, those lashes you're trying to stick, they should be, they're almost creating like a magnetic rejection force. I I guess I like to describe that as, because a lot of the times we do experience almost like a magnetic pull when we have the perfect environment for the adhesive and the lashes to be sticking together. When a client is just naturally high in pH, it's just not going to want to bond. Okay. Another thing is it could, um, the lashes might fall to one side. Okay. So just a couple things to think about. One thing to do, here's the number one thing, is you do want to perform a lash wash. Okay, so if you're not already doing lash washes at the beginning of the service, start now. Start today. You're going to find out in a minute. A lash wash, providing a lash wash prior to the service is going to neutralize those pH levels in their lashes. Okay, remember at the beginning, I said pH does not, lashes and skin do not hold a pH. Okay, it's the oils or any sort of liquids that is on the eyelashes themselves. Okay, so when we're doing a lash wash at the beginning of the service, we're already neutralizing the pH. Okay, so it's reducing the question of anything that might have something to do with pH in our clients' bodies. You do want to consider what you're using when it comes to the lash wash. Only use shampoo that's been specially formulated to be used as a lash bath. Okay, do not use anything that is formulated on your own, or maybe someone gave you um, an ingredients thing to follow to make your own lash bath. It's not necessary. It's not professional, and there you could be held liable if there ever comes the chance that your client get harmed during the service. And if you're not using something that is labeled to be safely used on the lash area, in the eye area, your insurance could be void. Heaven forbid that situation ever happens. And number two thing is you can use primer. Primer is designed to help neutralize those pH levels on the lashes before you start the service. However, lash primer, I believe, is something for an advanced lash artist to be using. The reason being is because there's certain clients that you cannot apply primer to. It's not going to be to their benefit or your benefit. And being able to identify the type of lashes a client has will come to you over time. But as a beginner, it could be really confusing to understand. Okay. I'm going to explain in a little bit here when to use primer and when not to use the primer. But being able to identify high porosity and low porosity levels of lashes is kind of the main thing. Okay. So the way how primer works is that it has alcohol. So it's slightly acidic, but it does help open that cuticle. For those certain clients that I said that this is actually a really good product for, it's going to be great. It's what they need for the adhesive to be able to stick to their lashes. So these clients are called low porosity clients. Generally, those lashes are like super thick and super duper shiny. So you need that extra traction to allow the adhesive to form a very secure bond. Okay, so without that lash primer, you're going to have issues with retention. When not to use primer is when the client has brittle or dry lashes. So really, long story short, you should only be using these on smooth lashes. Avoid using any saline or other solutions in place of lash primer. Usually they're going to contain salt. That is going to dry out that surface area that it's being applied to. And as we already discussed, the lash glue likes moisture. Okay, it requires moisture to dry. So if you are creating a too dry of environment, you're really going to have a hard time getting that glue to dry fast enough in order for you to create a really good bond and prevent stickies during the service. So avoid using bonders and glue aids that are high in pH on every client. Okay, I really want you to maybe after this tutorial, go back to your products and get to know them a little bit better. Okay, buy some pH test strips off Amazon. I really recommend that you do this. You're going to be doing yourself a huge favor. Go ahead, test your primer, test your bonder, test your accelerators, test your glue aids, heck, even test your lash shampoo and just see where they fall on that alkaline level, acidity level. If it's alkaline or acidic. I'm getting mixed up with the two now. Yeah, so you really want to stay in that neutral zone. So if you test one of your products and it's coming anywhere between the yellow and the red, of course, that's going to be a high acidic product. Okay, so if a client is already coming high acidic, you don't want to be applying those specific products to. Okay, if they're more in the blue, that's great. That's actually something that you want to be applying to your client to neutralize the pH and get them in that neutral level on the pH scale. Okay, so just a recap with the science behind the cyanoacrylate. Monomers. Monomers are the molecules that bond with other molecules to create that hard surface, meaning the dry lash glue. Okay. And acid buffers is what keeps them from forming together. So our glue is already acidic. Okay. Polymers are the activator for the monomers to join them together and create that strong bond. So polymerization is when the monomers and polymers have connected to secure the bond in the base of the lash extension. Okay, so this begins when you introduce your curing mechanisms. Okay, so moisture, oxygen, hard surfaces, those are our curing mechanisms for cyanoacrylate. To fully understand how to control the glue, we need to understand its curing mechanisms. Okay, so first of all, cyanoacrylate does not dry. It's not something that's going to, you can just leave it out and it's going to just dry on a surface. Um, either moxygen, oxygen, either oxygen, moisture, or hard surfaces, all three of those need to come into play in order for it to cure properly. Okay, if there's no moisture in the air, it's not going to dry. Okay, that's why when we close it, there's no moisture in there. Okay, so the curing process is called polymerization. So understanding the different hair types and how it affects the way your glue adapts is really going to benefit your retention. So there's three types of hair porosity um, that we can refer to. So medium porosity is the majority of your clients. There's going to be clients with low porosity and other clients, some clients that have high porosity. Okay, so just kind of depending on their genetics and ethnicity is going to depend on whether their type of hair porosity they have. So when it comes to low porosity, these are very thick and shiny lashes. They're not very flexible. They're usually very glossy and smooth. Okay, so you can always test this by maybe grabbing one of their lashes with your lash tweezer and trying to pull it up towards the ceiling. And you can just test and see how flexible it is, and if it's easy to put them almost like in an upwards position, or if they just want to stick right straight, then that's a really good indication that they're most likely going to be a very low porosity lash. So what you can do to prepare these clients for a lash service to ensure that they're getting the best retention possible is you're going to want to do a warm and cold lash bath. Okay, so what I mean by that is you're going to want to get 2 water bottles. Okay, you're going to have them both ready and set up for your client. So before they arrive, fill up one of these bottles with a very nice warm water. Okay, so think about when we're testing a bottle for a baby. We usually will just test it like right on our wrist. Make sure it's not too hot. Okay, if it's bearable for us to be putting it on our wrist, then it's going to be suitable to be using on the client. We do not want to be using something too hot. Okay, so you're going to do one rinse with hot and then a second rinse with cold. So the way how you're going to do that, okay, you're going to get your client set up for their lash bath. You're going to put the lash shampoo on. You're going to cleanse, 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 cleanse. Okay, and then you're going to rinse with warm water. Okay, you're going to do one rinse. Okay, and then you're going to take you can either do one more shampoo if you like. I'm sure the client would love that. Or you can just go ahead and take your second water bottle and you can just do a second rinse with the cold water. And what we're doing there is the warm water is going to allow those pores to open up so that we can clean them and get them nice and open looking. And the cold water is actually going to almost freeze them in place, just temporary, long enough for us to get the service going. So this is going to create a little bit of grittiness for the adhesive to stick to. Okay. Primer. Primer is one thing you do not skip on these clients. Okay, that's why I said that primer is something for advanced lash artists to be using because generally it's an advanced level when we can tell whether or not our client has low porosity or high porosity, right? You don't want to be using primer on clients with the high porosity. It's not a very good environment to be using. You're going to have other issues with those clients, okay? With the clients with the low porosity, it's recommended to just skip the bonder altogether. It's not necessary because we've already primed the lashes and got them into a really good environment. There's no reason why we need to be adding more acid to those clients, because it's just going to create some weak bases on the client. So it could lead to retention problems. So instead, we're just going to do a nanomist. Okay, so keep your nanomister available. For me, I use nanomister on all of my clients. They love it. So when it comes to high porosity, though, high porosity, often these clients, their lashes are lighter in color. They're curly and flexible. So again, you can take your lash tweezer and kind of see how easy it is to pull their lashes up towards the ceiling. Okay, or even maybe side to side if you want. So you're going to be able to test the flexibility. And once you start doing that with your clients, you're going to get to know whether they're porous or not porous, because it's going to become very obvious when their lashes have no flexibility and when they have really good flexibility. Often, a good sign is for high porosity clients. Their hair is naturally curly. So if they have naturally curly hair, most likely their eyelashes are going to be high porosity. So what you want to do in these cases, never use primer. Okay, be very careful. Um, when you if you were to use primer, I just want to say, so referring to the diagram there, you can see that the traction, it almost looks like really big tire treads on that lash there. So the primer is actually going to fit in those little grooves. It's going to want to fill them in. And when we have too much primer in play, or if there's water that's stuck in those grooves, the adhesive is going to want to cure faster than we're thinking. Or wanting, right? And it's going to cause weak bases in that client, causing retention issues, meaning that when they go to brush through, the lash extensions are just going to fall off without the natural lash. Okay, so we do want to avoid any sort of situation that can cause weak bases. So the medium porosity is the most common type. Okay, so out of 30 clients, I probably have one client with high porosity, and probably two or three with low porosity, and everybody else sits around that normal range. So that's good news. So it's kind of why it's good to always go back, refer back to these trainings and stuff, because maybe you didn't know about hair porosity before, right? So this might be something new, and you could have been lashing already for 5+ years. And now you're going to go back to work tomorrow and start looking at the porosity of the natural lashes. This is also why it's really not recommended to be doing fills on your clients. Not your clients, fills from people outside your client list. Okay, foreign fills, we call it, because it really, in order for us to be providing the best service possible, we do need to be able to assess those natural lashes and understand if they have high porosity or low porosity. It's really hard to assess the natural lash when there's already lash fans and lash extensions on those lashes. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me in my lash groups, or you can email me anytime. Info at fvlashacademy.com. Okay, so I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining in, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video.